There are roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. They work, they pay their taxes, but because technically they're illegal, they don't get the same benefits like healthcare and unemployment allowances given to American workers. And yet, in the face of a lethal pandemic, it's those same people putting their lives on the line, doing the jobs deemed essential by the Trump administration, even as their rights are being further eroded.
I'm incredibly proud of what KAYAK was able to do over the last 16 months. We pivoted very quickly. We took all of our services remote. We stayed true to our mission. We offered all of our services done remotely. We had to be creative about how we were offering things, how and where we were meeting people, but we did it. And of course, our clients are incredible about their resiliency and the way that they just persevered throughout all this.
The community here in Bremerton, we have been impacted by the pandemic, like losing our jobs, getting sick. Many people got sick, and we have many people got they died.
KAYAK's response to the pandemic was multifold. It's been a long journey. At the beginning, it was very much like calls, tons of phone calls, connecting to resources, getting information out. This is all brand new. Then it was mask giveaways and drive-through testing, and then it was food giveaways and hygiene products and big bags of supplies in December. We've helped people apply for rent assistance programs when there's been money for that at the county level. We helped people with a program that Washington State created for stimulus checks for undocumented people.
My parents were immigrants from China, and I grew up in an immigrant household, and I witnessed firsthand some of the challenges that they faced growing up in the United States, in a country where they didn't speak the language. They didn't have a lot of skills. And so I really can relate to many of my clients and understanding what they go through on a day-to-day basis.
I consider KAYAK as a stepping stone for immigrants to just know where to start, what to do, what not to do, who to talk to, who's there to help. If there wasn't a KAYAK for our clients wouldn't even know where to begin.
We had staff and volunteers who called our clients to just give them this really in-depth information. What is COVID? What can you do about it? Can you apply for unemployment? Your landlord can't evict you. What should you do if you can't pay your light bill? It covered the waterfront.
That became our first primary role with the pandemic, was just like, whoa, there's a lot of information people need. It's not available. It's printed online in English for the most part. It needs to be available on a phone. It needs to be in Spanish. Some of it needs to be in audio format. And it needs to come from a place that people trust. And so we started a texting database. We started a bilingual Facebook page. There was lots of different ways that we connected with people.
We knew that a lot of our clients were going to be in desperate need. They lost their jobs. They didn't have other resources. So thanks to some very generous donors, KAYAK supporters, we were able to put together an emergency assistance fund that allowed us to help people with food insecurity and keep people in their homes.
Prior to the pandemic, KAYAK had food available in a little storage area, but it was only for emergency purposes. So when the pandemic did come around, we had to completely adapt and adjust to a completely different kind of way of being able to provide and help these families that had an emergency on an everyday basis when it came to food.
As we were sharing information with people early on in the pandemic about food banks and food resources, we found that people weren't finding the groceries they were used to using. Maseca, dried black beans, oil, instant coffee weren't always available at food banks. And so we decided we needed to step in directly with that and use our emergency assistance fund to purchase staples that were culturally appropriate.
Cuando empezó la pandemia, que todo no hay trabajo y también para pagar la renta, quedamos sin dinero y una vez
Mi esposo, pues no sé
¿Qué iba a pasar?
Yo pensé que no iba a pagar la renta, pensé que iba a corrernos en la renta o la luz.
A lot of people, a lot of the families that we work with didn't qualify for unemployment benefits, didn't receive any of the federal stimulus money, and were really left without a safety net.
We had an application process. People had to apply for it. Annika and I vetted the applications, but we were able to help multiple families, many moms with small children, with their immediate needs when there were no other resources for them.
Pues no tenemos nada, pero gracias al KIAC nos ayudó.
Estamos viviendo en la casa y todavía tenemos luz.
Once the vaccine was available, at first it was reaching out, who's eligible, how do we contact them and get them appointments, and then it pretty quickly became clear that we needed to host events because we are a place that people are familiar with, we are a place that people already trust, and so we partnered with some different medical providers to host vaccination events on site. Some were drive-through, some were walk-up. We had around 500 people get at least one shot. Most of them got two at KAYAK, and I think that probably the majority of those people wouldn't be vaccinated today if we hadn't done it. I think some of them would have sought it out, but I think for the most part, those vaccine events made it for those people, made it possible. One thing that was really amazing was just how the immigrant community really carried the vaccination efforts as far as volunteers. We had, almost 40 different people who volunteered at different times with our vaccine events. Hundreds of hours were spent by volunteers, and most of them were from the immigrant community.
Tal razón por que yo me hice voluntario aquí en KIAC, porque mi hermano se murió el 30 de julio de 2020 por la pandemia COVID-19, y KIAC es el que hace alarmas entre la gente que se une y que se viniera a poner las vacunas que llegó en el estado de Washington.
Washington State created a fund to provide $1,000 checks to immigrant community members who hadn't qualified for those other federal benefits. We started doing outreach. We got hundreds of calls from people. We hired Otto. We worked for several weeks just over the phone with people, helping them fill out this application.
I've been working with KAYAK, filling up applications, other things, helping with their bills, filling up some financial aids applications.
It was awesome to get to work together and connect a lot of families that then later got checks and called us to say, I got this, this is how I paid my rent this month, and that was awesome.
There was a lot of uncertainty about court hearings and scheduling. The courts were closed and then opened, and we never really quite knew when a case was going forward, yet we still had to prepare as if it was going to happen. And so that taxed us in terms of our resources and put a lot of strain on our staff. I think that the common misperception for our donors and for the public is that now that we have President Biden, who is generally more immigrant friendly than President Trump, that the need for KAYAK has gone away and that everything is fine as far as our clients are concerned. And in reality, now is the opportunity for us to be doing real work for our clients, because we have that chance to get them benefits that were previously unavailable the last 4 years.
KAYAK's response to the pandemic was possible because we have an amazing team of volunteers, and also because we have amazing partners, and we really worked on and strengthened those partner relationships.
Partnerships really did help with adjusting and adapting with the type of process to be able to help these families during a pandemic.
It's great to work for the community and helping people who is in need. It's great experience, and I'm very happy working with KAYAK.
We were very worried about our ability to meet these ballooning needs of our clients. We knew that we were it. We were going to be the place that people came expecting to get some sort of help, and I didn't know if we were up to the challenge, but we absolutely were. Everyone came together, staff, Volunteers, donors, clients, everyone worked together to make this all work, and I'm phenomenally proud of this organization.
Le doy gracias a ustedes, los que trabajan, los que están luchando para ayudar a los inmigrantes.
Y a todos los que nos dieron esa ayuda, yo no sé, pero usted sabe quiénes son. Lo agradezco mucho a todos.